Hello children, here's your science tutor, Nishat. Last class, we have seen the reaction of metals with oxygen and water. Now, let us see the reaction of metals with acids and the solutions of other metal salts. Firstly, how do metals react with the acids? Children, in general, metals react with acids to give salt and hydrogen gas. But that doesn't mean all the metals react in same manner with acids. No, the reactivity of metals with acids varies. Now to understand the reactivity of metals with acids, let us perform a simple experiment. So for that, we will take 4 test tubes and label them as A, B, C and D. Now in test tube A, we will add the magnesium ribbon, and test tube B, we will add the aluminium foil. In test tube C, we will add an iron nail, and in test tube D, we shall add copper turnings. Now to each test tube, further we will add approximately 5 ml of dilute hydrochloric acid. Now let's observe the test tubes very carefully. We can notice that bubbles occurring in test tube A and test tube B, which indicates the magnesium and aluminium have reacted with the hydrochloric acid. But we could not see any change in test tube C and D. So that means some metals react slowly with acids. So let's heat the test tube C and D and again observe them carefully. So when we heat it, we can see that now in test tube C, the bubbles are occurring, which means iron has now reacted with the hydrochloric acid. But whereas in test tube D, there was no reaction at all, which means copper did not react with the acid. Thus, metals like magnesium, aluminium and iron react with the acids to give salts and hydrogen gas. In fact, the bubbles that we saw in test tube A, B and C were of hydrogen gas. And we could also infer from the experiment that magnesium reacted the fastest with the acid. So let's have a look at the equations of the reactions. Magnesium reacts with the hydrochloric acid to give hydrogen gas and magnesium chloride. Aluminium reacts with the hydrochloric acid to give hydrogen gas and aluminium chloride. Iron reacts with hydrochloric acid to give iron chloride and hydrogen gas. So that was all about the equations of the reactions. Now let's see how do metals react with the solutions of other metal salts. Children, in general, the more reactive metal will displace the less reactive metal from their compounds. For example, in a reaction, if metal A is more reactive than metal B, then we will get the equation as follows. Well, we can perform a simple activity or an experiment to understand this process. And for that, we will take a copper wire and an iron nail. We also need 2 test tubes, one with the solution of iron sulfate and the other test tube with the solution of copper sulfate. Now, let's immerse or dip this copper wire in the solution of iron sulfate. And let's dip this iron nail in the solution of copper sulfate. And let's observe it for about half an hour. Well, we can see that the reaction has taken place only in the test tube in which we had dipped or put the iron nail. We see that the nail, that is the iron nail, is coated with the pinkish brown deposit which is nothing but of copper. Children, don't get it confused with a rust. No, it is not rust. Well, this coating on iron nail happens because the iron displaces the copper from copper sulfate solution. Whereas there was no reaction seen in the test tube in which we had placed the copper wire. And that is because iron is more reactive than copper. And after performing these various experiments, that is on the basis of reactivity of metals with oxygen, water, acids and solutions of other metal salts, the following series known as the reactivity series was developed, with the most reactive metals on the top and the least reactive metals at the bottom. Thus, the order of reactivity of metals is as follows.